Okay, so today I've got Megan who is joining us for the 100 Stories campaign. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, sure. Hi, I'm Megan. I have diagnosed PTSD, anxiety, and depression. So that's a fun combination. um, yeah, uh, I'm a university student at UQ, and I'm studying engineering, which is difficult but interesting sometimes. Um, and I've had some major mental health struggles, especially recently. So I had a semester off at the beginning of this year. Um, I experienced when I came out to my family as a queer woman. It was I no longer felt safe being in the home that I was raised. So I juggled around a bit. I found some places to stay and it was okay, but it was a stressful time and had to deal with a lot of odd feelings about accepting who you are, I guess. And that entire experience of feeling unsafe then provoked uh, really tough things that happened when I was a child. So I'm a survivor of childhood sexual abuse. Um, and I kind of figured that, oh, I was like, this is a shitty thing that happened, but you know what? It's fine. I'm gonna be fine. We're just gonna keep on going and pretend it didn't happen. Which now that I'm in therapy, my therapist says that's a type of like a trauma response where you have these different personalities arrive and you have the part of you that's a bit traumatized and then the other parts of you that are like, we're going to keep on going with life. And yeah, so I was mainly in the I'm going to keep on going with life phase throughout most of high school, and I managed to get into university and just kind of pretended like it wasn't real. And it kind of stunted, I think, my ability to maintain connections and to be around people and trust properly. But I just said that it was fine. um, and then when I experienced the housing insecurity and unsure where I was going to stay, it all came back in this flooding array of emotions. And it was a lot to deal with. And there was about like a week where I just lay on the floor. um, sorry, laughter is how I cope.
Yeah. No, I understand. Thanks so much for sharing with us.
Yeah, it was a really tough time. Luckily I have my sister and my niece that really supported me. My niece is 2 years old, so she was more just like this burst of sunshine rather than like emotional support. Mainly just someone that's gonna like run in and be like, look at this painting I've done, and it's just scribbles. So and yeah, so that was that's when I started to really deal with suicidality in a really negative way, because it took a long time after everything for me to then go and to see a doctor and then to go and see a psychologist after that. And it was so hard to go from this place of feeling stuck to the next stage. But I was really lucky, and my sister and our roommate at the time and myself, we had a pick party where we went on the computer and we did like this party where we got to pick my psychologist. So it's kind of like if you've heard about people that have like donor babies, they do like a pick party where they flip through the book and pick a donor. We like flipped through the websites to pick a psychologist.
Wow.
And just not having to do that process alone was really helpful. And then for my first doctor appointment too, my sister came with me and like sat in the room and kind of advocated for me and was like, no, she's trying to do these things and she's having these thoughts and these bad things are happening. You need to do something about it. And I didn't
Mm.
really have like the strength to, I guess, discuss things with
Yeah.
a professional. But
Mm.
yeah. And I'm not gonna say I'm completely better now because I don't think
Mm.
uh, uh recovery isn't linear, you know.
Mm.
There's like
Mm.
peaks and valleys, and I think I'm going through a peak, but yeah, it's tough. Some days, you know, it's a lot harder to get out of bed than other days,
Mm.
but it's okay.
Yeah. Look, from the bottom of my heart, I really thank you for being open and sharing that story with me today. It is shit. Shit that you had
Thanks.
to go through that. Um, we we were just sharing just a minute ago that it's like, hey, when you're brave enough to share your story, you'll realize it's so many others have also, been through that. And I myself have had a very similar story to yours. This is 10 years on from that first instance that post-traumatic stress hit my life, and it does get easier, but you are right that life will throw more curves at you. yeah.
Yeah.
And it's fantastic to hear that you've had all these amazing supports around you and people to share that journey with you. And that's
Yeah.
fantastic insight for someone that may be in this position right now, and not quite knowing what's that first step or how do I overcome that big hurdle on my own. And what a strong message that you don't have to do it on your own.
Yeah.
But your
I mean,
big wounded heart will still hurt sometimes. Sorry,
yeah.
go ahead.
I just have to plug another person. My Peter, the she's a UQ lecturer. I'm at the University of Queensland, and
Yeah.
she was one of my lecturers and a really important person to me. And she rang up the UQ Mental Health Services and was like, no, this is unacceptable. You need to book an appointment right now. And she just stumbled on me one day when I was feeling really low and I almost did bad things just previously before she had seen me. And
Mm.
yeah, she just stumbled upon me, rang up the free mental health services at UQ, but they were all booked. So then she
Mm.
fought for me to make sure that there was a spot, and then she walked me to the appointment. So she took that time out of her day to go and do that with me. And she's a very busy woman, and but
Mm.
she just took that moment out of her day was
Yeah.
instrumental in saving my life. So it's pretty amazing. Just
Fantastic.
the small things that people can do. And don't be afraid to be vulnerable and let somebody help you when you can't do it alone.
Fantastic. I mean, what a strong gesture of support and hope. And what I find the general public, if you've not been through it before, you have no idea. And they want to help, but they don't know how. And that's a fantastic gesture of how you can help. You may not be in that right frame of mind to be able to do that yourself, but having someone there next to you advocating for you is a fantastic gesture. I'm really, really honored that you've been able to share your story and share some of those insights. And I really do think that they're great steps in being able to save lives. Some of these mental health statistics are horrific, but we do still have hope. We do still have connections in our lives. Okay, so I know that you've already mentioned a few like key insights and themes. I'm just going to try and get on with the questions that I had for the campaign. So just share with me, what is one mental health tactic that you yourself use to help you? Like, it could be a shit day. It could just be one of those things that you need to pick yourself up with. What is one tactic that you've
Yeah.
found helpful?
I have a couple of things in my tool belt. Um, So sometimes I suffer from the freeze response where it feels like my entire body is frozen and I just can't move, especially if I've like woken up from a horrible nightmare or something like that. I just can't move. And so I just do really small things. Like your brain is telling you that nothing works, that you are frozen in place. So I just try to wiggle my toes, like something really small. And then I try to like pinch my fingers together one at a time and then try to do it with the other hand as well. And like, so just a really small things to convince my brain that my body actually works because my brain has complete control and it's telling me that everything is frozen and you're going to die and like, and so I just have to do these small things to convince my brain to actually pull it together. I find that really helpful. I also struggle with ideation around cutting. And one thing that I find really helpful is to just grab a pen and then draw on my wrist, like just to draw like a love heart or a butterfly. And so it's like it's targeted and it's still like I'm looking at it, or like I write things like write a kind message to myself like today is a good day to not be dead. Like, just like I write small things on my wrists or draw weird looking shapes on there. And that's just like an outlet, because for me that's what cutting was, like an outlet. But so then I was like, well, let's just make it less destructive.
Rewire those brain neurons.
Yeah, just rewire the connection. And compassionate color. That one saves me so many times. My therapist told me about it. It's where you picture a color that for you means nothing but compassion. So when you imagine this color, all you feel is just giving yourself a hug. Like nothing else matters. No mistakes you've made, nothing else matters. It's just that one color means you have to be kind to yourself. And for me, when I was a kid, I was obsessed with running out and looking at the stars. Not particularly safe, don't do that, children. But like I was obsessed with just going and staring up at the stars. And so when I want to feel my compassionate color, I just close my eyes and imagine like that bright starlight. It's like it's almost white, but it's not, and it's so clear. And I don't know, for me it just signifies compassion. And that is a great way to just get my brain out of a funk or an anxiety spiral. I just imagine my compassionate color and everything's okay.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, they're my main thing.
Fantastic. And it's so interesting how like we're going to have to trick our brain into the direction we need it.
Yeah.
There's so much to that. I am like lost for words, because it's like there's so much gold content in what you're sharing.
Oh, and if you're on medication like I am, what you should do is you need to put it somewhere that you look at every day, because I kept forgetting. So then I put it next to like my toothbrush, so that when I went to brush my teeth, like I would see it every day. Or when I was struggling to brush my teeth, I like put it next to like you just put it somewhere. You put it somewhere where you will look at it every day, and then you'll be like, need to remember to do that.
Until it's a habit.
Yeah.
For sure. No, look, speaking of brain neurons, I'll just quickly plug this one. You know, it takes about 400 repetitions to create a new brain neural pathway, because it wants to fall back into this old habit, unless you do it with play or joy. You know, you were just saying gratitude, or that space of what brings you that positive emotion. When you come from it in that essence of joy, it only takes 10 to 20 times to repeat it for your brain to be rewired. Isn't that amazing?
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah. So yeah, laughter, fun, laughter yoga, whatever works for you, really. It's different for everyone. Anyway, okay, moving on to the next question. I was speaking with you before that this inside of, okay, you are here today and you're smiling and laughing and being brave about sharing your story. You know, there are some people right now that are in the lockdowns that are I have to admit, yeah, working with schools this year has been tough. There are so many like children and young people that are struggling right now, and they're in that eye of the storm. They've never experienced this whirlwind before. But what I realize is those that have had this lived experience, we have this insight now. You know, what is that one thing that you think someone who may be struggling in that time could be helpful to know, right? So what is your message of hope for someone who may be struggling right now?
Well, it's not my message. It's poet's Neil Brennan, and I just love this one line. It says, "I saw the future, I did, and in it I was alive." And when I'm really sad, I go back to that. Like, I saw the future, and in it I was alive. Like, it just feels so hopeful to me. Like, maybe you're not, like you're alive, and that was a massive achievement, because it is. It is. Sometimes we forget that being alive is an achievement, but it's a massive thing for a lot of people.
Yeah. Nice
Yeah.
one.
So that's my message of hope. Well, Neil Brennan's, but hey.
It counts. Okay, and my last question to you, we were talking about that this is a suicide prevention campaign, and what I found is there are some pivotal moments in people's lives that they may have been falling back in the same patterns of depression or whatever it may be that has kept them cloudy or with a suicide ideation. But I've actually found a lot of the times there's actually a few key things, whether it's actions or gestures, that tend to happen, that tend to bring people onto a different pathway. Do you have any insights there that you would like to share?
Go for a walk. I mean, that was it for me. So if you're in a place and you're thinking about doing really bad things, put on your headphones and go for a walk. That was really helpful for me. There are complications if you maybe with someone is also a really good idea, and don't do it if you're in such a bad place where it might not be safe to go for a walk. But yeah, I like to take dogs for a walk. That was, to get me out of a funk. And like a small spot, like don't go like a big walk. I would just go a small walk around around a little place where I knew I would be safe, like where I felt safe, and like not, and while I was on the walk, I would try to spot things that were green and try to spot things that were blue, try to spot things that were red. So I played like the rainbow game, where you look for things that are certain colors, and it's just something different for your brain to do. Because brains like to spiral, so it's better to spiral about all the green things. Also, it's better to half do something than to not do it. So if you're in a place where you're like, I just can't move, or I just can't, pick up this sock that's on the floor, or brush my teeth. Brush your teeth for 5 seconds. Like, that's better than not brushing your teeth. Like, and once you've done the first 5 seconds, the next 10 seconds aren't as hard. Maybe you don't make it to a whole 2 minutes, but 10 seconds is better than 0. So
yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And just find someone that you can talk to, and maybe you can't talk to about the big things straight away. I want to acknowledge that, like, I'm a white woman, so talking about my feelings is nowhere near as stigmatized as it is for other people. But but even still, find someone that you can talk to about something. Maybe it's not your feelings straight away, but just something, so that you feel less alone.
Yeah, no, 100% spot on. Some of the stuff we do in schools about help seeking is often in that adolescent period. It's like they'll go and approach an adult.
Horrible. It's okay. I'm just in a meeting. I'll talk to you later. Thank you. Sorry, that's
We can edit that bit out. I don't even know my train of thought. Oh yeah, sometimes working with children, like adolescents, they go and they ask for help from an adult, and then it's like they've asked but possibly asked the wrong person or the wrong time, and then because they don't get the response they want, they just give up immediately, and then they get trapped in that pattern of, well, no one cares, or it's like, oh, I already tried that and I've only got my back here, you know. Which is quite sad. So it's good that you've pointed out there that it is important to, you know, sometimes just make a connection. That's a first step. Make a connection, and then with time, perhaps you can build like that rapport and share more details as you've built that trust. Well, look,
yeah.
Megan,
And don't be put off. Oh, sorry, but don't be put off if your first attempt doesn't work well, because the first time I went to see to talk to somebody, it was just like a school counselor, and they weren't particularly or as well trained as other psychologists when it comes to trauma responses. And when I tried to talk to them about what had happened to me, they just said, well, are you going to go to the police? Like, and that just didn't feel helpful. Like, it just felt like awful. And then I was just like, well, I'm completely off therapy. I'm never going again. This is completely ridiculous.
Yeah.
But yeah, so don't, it's easier to say than it is to do, but please don't give up after the first try.
Yeah, no, I hear you there. And that's another important lesson we try and embed in the young people, right? Because, yeah, sometimes you may approach an adult, but, you know, they may not have the skills to help you as well. Like they could be trying, but just don't actually know what to do because they've, you know, never had that particular pathway. And I know sometimes it's a stigma because people are like, oh, what if I make it worse? You know, but just actually there's ways to skill yourself up in help seeking, in being able to spot those signs and have these conversations, but not everyone is there yet. Yeah, so meet them on their journey. Well, thank you so much, Megan, for joining me today, having this chat. It has been excellent to hear some of these insights from you, and I really look forward to seeing some of the impact and hearing back to see how your story can really make a difference. And I'm an absolute ally and supporter of the LGBTIQ community, and I'm willing to certainly stay in touch and see whatever we can do to support you.
Thanks.
Brilliant. Well, thank you for now for joining me for the interview.